Hey guys, Youngblood with you to cover the Q&A that CIG released on the new Aegis Hammerhead, summarizing some of the topics and expanding elsewhere, but ideally I want to get you the information that you want with some insight added in. So starting off, people really wanted to know about the AI blades and if you can automate all of the turrets on this thing, to which they said that the current vision for the chip is that they want to be able to give you enough computing power for automating 4 out of the 6 turrets total. Now that's out of the box processing, though you still need to buy the blades, so if you want to do some upgrades later, it sounds like you might be able to get the ability to totally automate, but we'll just need to see what options become available. But a ship of this size, and you only have to really bring 2 real gunners if you end up spending the money on the blades, that's not that bad, which plays into the question they had about pirate hunting with a buddy or two, and why this ship could take on the role, but it would still be better to bring more people along. Now, when asked if the power plant could actually handle 24 size 4 weapons, they said yes, it's designed to be able to do so because it's got military-grade equipment, but you could run ballistics if you opt to, then giving you a little bit more power for other systems, though on a ship like this, that would be a pretty expensive ammo bill if you're getting into some pretty heavy combat. Now, several questions about the middle of the ship, where there was kind of that hole or that gap, and basically why it wasn't used for something like a med bay, and they said that outside of just kind of an aesthetic in the design they envisioned for the ship, it's also practical because not having anything there lowers the mass of the ship, allowing it to be quick enough and agile enough to really protect the fleet. So the middle is to stay open, and it's not going to be some location that you can end up mounting equipment to. It's not a modular area. The idea is that you're not really going to be able to do everything yourself anyways. You know, this is more of an escort ship or a patrol ship. So you're protecting ships that can do the tasks that you may want to stick something in there. So if you wanted like an advanced scanning room or a medical bay or something like that, those are ships that, those are things that are going to be relegated to other ships like the, like a Carrack or like an Endeavor or something else that you're protecting. Also, I think people were kind of talking about like crew areas as something that could potentially go in the middle, and while there wasn't really a lot of art in this section, what you do actually have on the Hammerhead is a living area that's near the bunk room, and though it's not said to be, real fancy and it's going to be pretty small and cramped, it's kind of to be expected on what would be like a military patrol vehicle. Now, in regards to maneuverability, the Hammerhead is touted to be more agile than the Polaris, but you do need to keep in mind that none of these ships are really breakdancers, and they're not going to be dogfighters. They bring weapons that are capable of dealing a lot of damage, and the ship is really designed to keep those weapons into good situations. The shape of the ship and the turrets being on those rails kind of brought up several questions, including the turrets being fragile. Are they as fragile as they look? And CIG said, yeah, that it's pretty true that based on how exposed they are, they could be relatively fragile. But it's a design choice to let the turrets be more effective with better visibility and improved firing arcs. So outside of them being likely places to take damage, there are also potential entry points for boarding parties if they want to blow off a turret and try and enter the ship there. Now, as far as all of the turrets being able to hit a single target forward, it's not always going to be feasible because it's not really meant to be that type of the ship. This ship wants to have its weapons coverage in a 360-degree bubble to protect your fleet, almost a zone of deterrency, which this does certainly offer. Now, either way, there's going to be safeties in place to make sure that you're not shooting your own ship, which is a good thing. And then we find out that the components on the ship are actually military-grade to start with, so they do perform very well, though they may be expensive to replace or maintain and repair over time. So some people may find more value and moving to more civilian or industrial options there if it ends up giving you a better price to performance ratio and you're just more comfortable with that cost. Now, a question that was brought up was about sacrificing some of the missile pylons for torpedo mounts. And they say that yes, that is technically feasible. They plan on that being an option. However, I think it's worth noting that you're probably talking more Gladiator torpedoes here, not Retaliator-sized torpedoes or Polaris-sized torpedoes. So you probably want to kind of temper some of your expectations, especially since this ship is really meant to be more used for fending off fighters, so having stock missiles is generally going to be a better bet unless you're really customizing the ship for a role outside of what it was kind of intended to do. But torpedoes are interesting because they do seem to be what CIG intends to be the real counter for this ship, specifically a ship like the Retaliator lobbing big torpedoes from outside of the Hammerhead's weapon range. The question still remains though, can the torpedo make it through all the turret fire coming from the Hammerhead? Can the Hammerhead crew even see the torpedo to be firing at it? And how effective are the countermeasures, and how many countermeasures does the Hammerhead actually have to know what that rock, paper, scissors relationship looks like? They did talk a little bit about range due to the large quantum drive allowing for longer range and jump ability, but with only a medium tank on board, you may need to stop and top off, which could happen from a starfarer while in flight. I saved what I'm sure will mostly be considered the most interesting question for last, which was about ramming ability. CIG says that they don't condone that behavior, however, Aegis did happen to provide additional internal reinforcements to the front of the ship. So basically, yeah, it can act as a ram. But we don't really know it to what extent. You know, there's a big difference between being able to run through a Cutlass and running into an Idris. So we'll probably need to do some creative testing once this thing actually gets into the game to see what it's capable of doing. So overall, I'm still very happy with this ship. I think we got some good answers in this Q&A. If you guys have questions on any of this, please let me know. But otherwise, hopefully it helped you out. Stay tuned for more and have yourselves a wonderful day. Take care.